tea. So hold on, you guys, because I got to get my headphones because they had fallen. Okay, I'm back. So let's watch and listen, and then we'll talk about it.
This video will contain alleged Vanderpump Rules reunion spoilers. And I also want to give a trigger warning because it will also discuss some unaliving ideations. Cece Loves You had posted this on IG, said she spoke to Kyle Chan who told her this. At the reunion, entire cast will learn that Sandoval allegedly bought a weapon and he had thoughts of using said weapon, and Kyle Chan was called by Tom Sandoval, and Kyle said that he went to Sandoval's home and found him in a state that you wouldn't want to find your friend in. Cece said that we will see the reactions of the cast to this news. She also said that Kyle told her that Lala becomes mad at Ariana during the reunion, and she basically tells Ariana, like, you're messing with our livelihoods because you don't want to film with Sandoval. Telling Ariana, you have all these opportunities, but since you won't film with Sandoval, like, it's affecting our livelihoods. Let's talk about the first thing I mentioned. I do find it very surprising that Bravo will be mentioning this and using it. But throughout the season, we don't see them being like, oh, Sandoval should get actual help. No, let's have Sheena and Lala go in and act as therapists. But I find it odd that he's like, yeah, you can share this. Like, is Bravo okay with that, first off? And I just find it odd if Bravo is going to use that as entertainment. That's actually disgusting. And it shows how little they care about their cast's mental health if this is what they do. Secondly, the whole Lala being mad at Ariana. I'm not surprised by this because I do feel like this one is true. But I also am like, why does your livelihood depend on Ariana speaking with her ex? Why don't you have a storyline of your own? This season is much shorter than the rest of the seasons. I don't know if you guys noticed this. I think we've had is this gonna be the 14th episode, the finale? I'm guessing because everyone's storylines are kind of boring. I think that's a sign that this show should come to an end. I really think they ruined it with this last season, to be honest. And I also find it so crazy that if they're bringing up Tom Sandoval, mental state is very bad and he needs help, but then they're like, but Ariana, you won't film with him. We want you to cross those boundaries that you've set up for your own mental health and film with Sandoval just so we can get a paycheck. And that just shows again how little her friends care about her mental health. And Ariana has stated on Vanderpump Rules, she has talked about how she has struggled with her mental health. What would make you think yeah, you should be hanging out and filming with your narcissistic ex-boyfriend who cheated on you with one of your closest friends, because that will do real good things for your mental health.
Okay, now I agreed with very little of what that particular content creator had to say. I agreed with some of the stuff she said, but I disagreed with other things, and I'll tell you why, okay? And I want to know what you guys think. Put it in the chat box, what you agree on, what you disagree on, whatever your thoughts are, put them down below. What I think, when she talks about it being leaked from Cece Loves, that Kyle Chan was called from Tom Sandoval, and Tom had allegedly had a pew-pew, weapon, and was having thoughts of no longer being with us. Tom Sandoval himself said that this season. He said that that Kyle Chan literally saved his life. So I don't know if this creator is watching the show or if she watches it as closely as we do, but Tom Sandoval brought it up himself on the show. So it's not, I will talk about Bravo and NBC and the executives all day long, but only if the shoe fits, and it doesn't. Tom himself said that. Because remember when it was Kyle Chan and Sheena and Tom, and they were all talking after the whole thing where, remember when Tom Sandoval went to Sheena and was like, well, you've been a cheater too. And she's like, how dare you? And blah, 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 blah. And they had the huge blow up. And then the next day they're at Kyle Chan's talking about everything. It's during that time. It was during that episode or the episode before where Tom Sandoval himself said, I wouldn't be here without Kyle Chan. He is such a good man. He is such a good dude. If he ever needed me, I would be there for him. He literally saved my life. Those are Tom's words. Go back and watch the show. He said that himself. So it's not Bravo or NBC exploiting Tom's mental health for a paycheck. This is what Tom said himself. Additionally, Tom himself also said this season, he said, Ariana talks about, and everybody talks about Ariana's mental health, but nobody talks about my mental health. They're asking me about how I'm doing or what my mental state is. Again, that's what Tom said himself about his mental state. Because to be honest with you, I get what he did with Rachel was wrong. I get that, of course. But to have the whole world come down on you so hard over and over and over again, that would mess with anybody's mental state. I don't care how strong of a person you are, how strong of a mind you have, that could really mess up with somebody's mental state. And even before that, he was like, she would always talk about hers. And again, I want to be very, 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 very clear. By no means am I anti or against Ariana or bashing her or saying that her mental health is not as valid or as important as Tom's mental health. I am not saying that by any means. All I am saying is that Tom Sandoval himself has spoken about how Kyle Chan, literally saved his life. Tom himself has talked about his own mental health struggles as well. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that both of their mental health is equally important and concerning and needs to be addressed and talked about and helped and healed. Both of them equally. Everybody's mental health is important. So by no means am I trying to diminish Ariana's mental health by any means. Now, also, what I disagreed with that content creator about is, and I wanted to play the clip because I think that a lot of people probably feel the way she feels. And I think it's good to bring up different points of views and different opinions and different ways of looking at stuff and having like a healthy discussion and discourse. So I'm not like bashing the content creator by any means at all. I just think she brought up a lot of good points that I think would be good to talk about. So that's what I mean by that. Go give her a follow, go check out her stuff, definitely. So that's where I'm coming from with this. Because I think it's good to not just say what my opinion is, but to bring on other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and then have a discussion around it. So that's why. Okay. So when she says that, they're bringing up Tom's mental health, but nobody said that he should get help. And, they're making it, Lala and Sheena's, obligation for his mental health. That's also not true because Lala said that same thing. Lala said on the show in her confessional how she was like, well, I don't think it's okay for Lisa to put the pressure on me and Sheena. If anything happens to Tom, we're going to regret it and it's on us to make it better, when, she should be saying to him, he needs to get professional help. And we also don't know what is being said or done behind the scenes. Because again, no one has ever said to Ariana, at least I haven't seen it, maybe I'm wrong, from a production or a Lisa standpoint, you need to get professional mental health when her mental health has been talked about on the show as well. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes about getting them help and what the mental status is. But Lala did say on the show, it's not up to her and Sheena to look after Tom's mental health. He needs professional, and that it's not right for Lisa to put that pressure on them. And I agree with that. I don't think that that was Lisa Vanderpump's intention to say that, you are responsible for his mental health. I think what she was saying was, look, he might be in a bad way. He might be struggling mentally. Let's give him a little bit of grace, because if this does go sideways, none of us want to look back at this situation with regrets. So I hope because we don't know, I hope behind the scenes they're like, listen, you should talk to someone professionally. He was seeing spiritual guru people. He was doing that on the show. Again, I think you need to sure do the spiritual guru people, coaches and the screaming and all that stuff 100%, but like also maybe get like a licensed mental professional to help you with that stuff too. And I think they both should work through that and unpack those things. So that's kind of where I land on that. So if this turns out to be true, that it is brought up about, Tom having a weapon and thinking of no longer being with us and calling Kyle Chan. I don't think that's Bravo and NBC exploiting his mental health. I think it's them bringing to light a real life situation that maybe could save someone's life, that maybe could, make somebody call someone or reach out for help if they find themselves in that same situation. I think the more that we talk about this stuff, the more we talk about struggling mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and the more we talk about reaching out for help and calling somebody when you feel low and not idolizing people on television like they're not humans, I think the more we talk about that and the more we normalize asking for help, I think that's the best thing. And I didn't see it as Bravo or NBC exploiting his mental health, because he's the one who brought it up. And he himself said, we don't talk about my mental health, not to by any means diminish Ariana. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that's very interesting, and we'll see if that happens. And what their reactions will be. I kind of have a feeling maybe Tom Schwartz already knows that. Maybe some of them already know stuff if it turns out to be true, but we'll see what their reactions are. We'll see. Now, where I did agree with her is I do think that season 11 was kind of a wash, and I do think the show should be over at this point. On that, I did agree with her. Where I disagreed with her is where she was saying, how she can't believe Lala is mad at Ariana, and how dare she think her livelihood is all about whether or not Ariana has a conversation with Tom Sandoval, and you have your own storyline and blah, blah, blah. I mean, well, Lala was right, because the show is done. So her livelihood was depending on Ariana showing up in a better way, because nobody's storyline this season really landed, because energetically the show was stuck. The show was stuck. It was just a very tense, a very awkward, very fake and phony at times show. And I think that the show energetically was just stuck because they weren't able. And nobody is saying that Ariana has to forgive Tom. Nobody is saying Ariana has to absolve Tom. But the show was just stuck. Nothing really happened, and it was flat. And so Lala was right. Her livelihood was tied to whether or not Ariana was willing to, show up to do her job. And she did not show up to do her job, and now the show is on pause. I mean, she was right. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I didn't really agree with what that content creator was saying, because I don't think that, and I think the content creator was seeing it through the lens of a viewer and not seeing it through the lens of the bigger picture of the situation. Because even the producers were saying, Ariana, we want you just to have this one conversation with him. And that's another reason why I kind of disagreed with the content creator. She's like, how dare production ask Ariana to have this conversation with Tom when this is her boundary and this is her mental health? And I think it's very dangerous when people weaponize therapy speech, weaponize boundaries and mental health as sort of this catch-all for people to get away with doing whatever they want. Yes, people can have boundaries. Yes, your mental health and protecting your peace and your energy is super important and paramount. But at the end of the day, if Ariana is able to live in a house with him, and again, I don't think I'm not, this is where I also disagree with Lala. I don't think Ariana needed to move out the house. She decorated it. She put her money into it. She put her time into it. Her name is on that house. 100%, you stand 10 toes down to make sure you are financially in the right place to get out of that house before you move, right? So I don't think she had to get out of the house. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, "It's because of these boundaries and because of my mental health." And I'm not saying even Ariana was saying the mental health part, 'cause I don't even think she was. But I'm just saying you can't say that, but then also live in the same house as this person, when showing up to film a scene is literally your job. You can't cut it both ways that way. And I don't think that Ariana having a conversation with Tom on screen, in my opinion, is overstepping any true boundary or threatening her mental health in any way. She's been in scenes with him. She's just refusing to acknowledge his presence. And when she does, she's yelling at him and screaming at him, which I totally get because she's still mad and angry. But I think that sometimes people weaponize those terms in order to justify someone's behavior, you know? And that's just sort of where I land on that. So I don't really agree with what that content creator was saying on the whole, but I also think it's really good to have other people's opinions and other people's perspectives and sort of discuss it and dissect it and talk about everything. So shout out to that content creator. She's on TikTok. Go find her and give her a follow. All right, you guys. So with that, put it down below. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about if this story is true? This rumor that they're going to talk about Tom Sandoval's mental health and that he was on the verge of no longer being with us and how Kyle Chan saved him. Is that exploiting his mental health, or is it shining a light on tough conversations that we should be having that could potentially save someone? If this is true, thank God for Kyle Chan, because I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. That would be horrific and horrible. So I think the more we talk about it and the more we take away the shame and the stigma and the blaming and using all of these, woke terms all the time, like exploiting, like, is it exploiting his mental health, or are they talking about what this person was going through? Because we've all messed up. We've all made mistakes. We've all haven't been the best versions of ourselves. That doesn't mean that we're not allowed to get help and we're not allowed to get support and we're not allowed to be forgiven. That's kind of where I land on that. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Dun, dun, dun. All right, you guys. I'm gonna drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. And if not, I'm gonna take your candy can questions and comments. All right. Bum, bum, bum. Okay.